Kia onda mina, welcome back to Mons. For those of you who this is their first video, this is my Japan travel series where I talk about my first time traveling to Japan. Today I'm going to be talking about going to Tommy in Sumida City, Adachi City, and my first experience with a Maid cafe. I started my day like I typically would, at the hotel and, making sure I'm clean and whatnot. Although the day before, since I did contact Hirune and she was kind of insistent on me going into the Maid cafe with her, I needed to make sure that all my plans led up to me going to Akihabara eventually. So the first thing I did wanted to do was go to Tommy's in Sumida City. And this place is really great. I highly recommend it for a brunch place. It is kind of standard Western food, but if that's really what you want, and if you're kind of a cafe person, I think this is probably one of the highest rated places, which is the way I found it anyways. Takes a little long, but it's pretty cool seeing how the coffee is made. The coffee looks like it's made in some kind of chemistry lab. I have no idea what the contraption was. I wish I took a picture of it. But the coffee ended up tasting great. And, even though it is just coffee, nothing you really think about, it is kind of cool seeing all this effort being put into something as simple as a drink you would just kind of have on the side, which kind of speaks volumes on the quality of Japanese food. So how was Sumida? I really didn't spend much time there due to my schedule. It's very similar to Edogawa, but I kind of like Edogawa more, just because the transit systems kind of worked a little better there, and I think the stations were much nicer in Edogawa, but still a nice place if you think you're into the walking experience and you want to try something new besides Edogawa. My next plan after this is I actually wanted to go to a place called Megadon, which I think is a franchise of some kind of store of some sort. What are they called again? A discount store. I don't know why that slipped my mind. Yeah, I wanted to go to this discount store. But I don't know why I wanted to go to the one to Adachi City. I think it's because it had high rated results. I have no idea why I wanted to go there now that I'm really thinking about it. But the problem was that there was no nearby station there. So my choices was to get off on one of the nearest stations and walk all the way there. And this is when I noticed when not all of Japan is as public transportation oriented as I wanted it to be. I could have taken a bus system, but I don't think I've looked into them much, and I don't think this place, at least this particular road, had a nearby bus station anyways. So, and by the time I got there, I kind of lost interest. I looked at it from the outside, and it didn't look like anything special. I was just kind of tired and wanted to go find a place to sit down at this point. Although I should mention that even though the walk itself wasn't interesting, some of the buildings that I found on the way were kind of cool, and some of the little areas were neat. But overall, I think Adachi City was kind of a waste of time for me. Maybe I'll give it another shot in my second trip, but yeah, I don't know. I don't think there was much to see out there. Now, once I got to Nidashirai Station, my plan was to go to the Tokyo Skytree. Unfortunately, I ended up, I think missing a stop was what happened, and I ended up being close to Akihabara again anyways, and I felt it would be a waste of time and money just to try to roll that back, so I'm like, screw it, I'll just hang out at Akihabara or something. But the more I walked, the more exhausted I got, and I realized, like, I just want a place to sit down, man. That's all I really care about. And I mentioned in my last video that all the stores and really any place to sit down in Akihabara, like in the main Akihabara area, is always crowded and packed. And this is the day I learned it, because when I was looking for a seat or anything, everything was packed. Okay, so at this point, my strategy was like, I gotta find a Starbucks kind of outside of Akihabara, but close enough, just so I can find a place to sit down or something. Luckily, I found one a little bit out of Akihabara, and when I went into that area, I ended up realizing that this place is extremely aesthetically pleasing. Like the way the trains go here and some of the weird locales. Like I found a church there, like a really huge church, Christian one, which was a weird sight to see in the middle of a Tokyo city, or a Japanese city, I should say. And I think on my second trip, I kind of want to explore this area a little more. It's pretty cool looking. And afterwards, I went into the back areas of Akihabara. And on my first day, I emphasized how much I love the back areas, but I didn't learn that my first day. I learned that on this day. And that's where I found all the electronics, all the weird areas behind Akihabara, and try to explore more of like the second and third floors that most visitors probably wouldn't try to visit. So, doing all these things, the sun was eventually setting, and once it did, it was getting pretty close to meeting Hirune. Now, some of you may ask, which Maid Cafe did I go to? So, Hirune recommended that I go to Maid Cafe, Dreamin, I believe it's called, in Akihabara. So, I went to it, and I waited for about 10 to 15 minutes to see when Hirune would get here. And after those minutes passed, I texted her saying, "Hey, is everything okay? Are you still able to meet me?" And she said, "Yeah, I'm outside waiting here at Meadreamin Cafe." I looked around and she wasn't there. And that's when I sent her my exact location. And she said, "That's not where Maidreamin Cafe is." So then I sent her a photo of the logo of the place, and we both ended up sharing our location, and we realized there are two Maidreamin cafes in Akihabara. So at this point, I just decided to just rush through the Akihabara narrow pathways to try to get to her as fast as I could. And I got there in about 5 minutes, so it's all good. Nothing much, just a little frustrating having all the confusion go on between us. And once I got there, we just, we both apologized to each other, so it's all good. No big deal. Why did I want to go anyways? So first of all, Hirune insisted that maid cafes were part of the essential Japanese culture experience, which was weird, that coming from a Japanese person, because if this came from a Western person, they'd be laughed off saying, "What are you, a weeb?" And even though I've heard a lot of bad things about maid cafes, I actually did have an excuse to go to one. And that's that I was kind of working on a game that had a maid character in it at the time. So I thought that like, hey, maybe this could be some neat research notes. So the maid cafe was on the top floor. I believe it was the 7th or 6th. It was really high. And this place was way more packed than I thought, or way more claustrophobic, I should say. I guess when I thought about a maid cafe, especially all the anime ones I saw, I thought they would be more open space, but it just kind of felt like another compacted Japanese restaurant. As expected, all the girls pretty much had a minimal understanding on English, although one was pretty decent, and that ended up being our attentive maid at the maid cafe. So the food was, nothing crazy to write off about. I think what was interesting was the way they formatted some prices or some other things in addition to the food. I guess let me give you an example that really caught my eye. And one of the offers that they gave here is you can get a pic with you and your favorite maid for $5, or you can get $60 worth of food for a free picture with your maid. And then I don't know, there was something weird that felt about that. It's kind of like, like you're bundling deals. You're kind of putting, I guess, food and someone's, how do I even describe this? Like someone's dignity on the price. I don't know. It's weird. It something felt very uncomfortable about this scenario about packing people for a bundle. I don't know. I'm rambling. And while we were waiting for food and we ended up eating it, they were also putting on some kind of show in the background, something with singing or dancing. This might be an event thing because we ended up going to the maid cafe at the last hour that they're remaining open. So I'm not sure if this is just a night event, but it was pretty cool seeing them kind of dance around like that.
I think the girl that was serving us, geez, I feel really bad for forgetting her name. Her footwork was really amazing. I was actually really impressed how fast she was able to dance. Now it was just kind of generic, like girly girl maid dancing you would see in anime, but it was pretty cool actually seeing it live. She actually had a lot of skill. All right, this my thoughts are getting a little scrambled, so bear with me if I move from subject to subject, since there was a lot happening at this while at the Maid Cafe. So I was chatting with Hirune and whatnot, and when we got our food, I got my what was it? I think I got some kind of omelet with ketchup, and then the maid requested what she would want to draw, and I think I just said something simple like draw an onigiri and something cute or something like that. I forgot exactly what I said, and she made this funny drawing. What I will say is I really like how this maid play or this maid cafe makes their food look pretty. I think it's kind of nice, even if it is super overpriced. I think this omelet cost me like 1,500 yen. That's something really dumb. It wasn't really that great either. I mean, I shouldn't say that. It was okay. It was all right. It was just very, very sweet. In addition, me and Hirune also shared a dessert, and we got this really cute ice cream. I actually really did like this one, but it's pretty hard to mess up ice cream. So Hirune's plan was to, between the both of us, we could probably get $60 worth of food so we can get a picture with our favorite maid. Which honestly I ended up defaulting to the one that was attending us. I really didn't care who it was. I just kind of wanted to see. I just kind of wanted to see what it was like. Now, while all this dancing was going on, there was this really weird moment that stuck out with me, which was a different maid that wasn't attending us was starting to go on stage and doing her own dancing and singing and whatnot, and then she ended up. I forgot. It was all in Japanese, so it's kind of a blur to me, but she ended up, I think, giving a shout out to one guy in the middle of the room, and then she got close to the table, and then that same guy ended up getting off his chair, bending down in one knee, and I think he was expressing his love and loyalty to this maid, and she was kind of feeding into it. It was weird, man. Like, maid cafe culture is intense. I don't know if, like, I have to assume this is a loyal customer, right? I don't know. I don't know, man. This moment just kind of weirded me out a little bit. This was the only moment that weirded me out, but man, it brought up some concerns nonetheless. So, anyways, show's over. We finish our food, and we finally get our free picture with her maid. Me and Hirune were trying to think of what kind of photo I would like to take, or we would like to take. She was kind of saying, like, it's up to you what kind of picture you want, if you want me included or not. And we ended up having a really fun idea, which is between the three of us, being me, Hirune, and our attentive maid, we wanted to do, I forgot exactly what it was called, but Justin Wong popularized it pretty well with this picture of Chun-Li. And what the maid did is, for Hirune, she gave the complete heart, and for me, I got the thumbs up. And I thought it was a hilarious picture. I absolutely loved it, and it seems the maids themselves also found it pretty funny. And I still have that picture. It really did mean a lot to me, not because of the maid stuff. Honestly, I couldn't care less, but it was just a nice moment to share with a good friend. It kind of puts a little bookmark in that time of my life. It's pretty nice. So moving onwards, and to really close off the night, me and Hirune just hung out a little more. We went to a Starbucks, and this is where she started talking about the seasonal flavor stuff and more of that kind of detail. Now, what I found really amusing when we went to the Starbucks is that I think I was having a little bit of trouble communicating with the person with the cashier. I think just because I was really exhausted that night and I couldn't keep my Japanese straight. So when I went in and I started to give her my money, she gave me back the change, but she started slowly counting all the coins in English, which I don't think she was trying to be insulting. I think she was trying to be genuine. But if anything, I found it extremely amusing more than insulting. I was like, whatever, I'll let her have the moment. I really didn't care. And yeah, me and Hirune finished going to Starbucks, and she guided me to the train, and then we said our goodbyes for that day. And when I arrived at the station nearby my hotel and walked back to my hotel, it was kind of crazy seeing how packed Shinjuku was on Fridays. Like every bar and really a lot of restaurants were overflowing with a bunch of people that they started to kind of leak into the streets. There's not a lot of cars. It was just a bunch of people crowded on like everywhere. It was a weird sight compared to the rest of the other days I usually came back. Most of the people were foreigners too, which was also kind of strange. Well, maybe not most, but there was maybe like 20% of them were, which was considerably a lot more of when I usually just walk through Shinjuku. Now, I never really went to a bar just because I don't drink alcohol, so I never got that crazy nightlife experience. If you did have one, let me know how that's like in the comments. And I think that's gonna close off the third day. Let me think of some closing thoughts. It was a weird day overall. There was a lot of highs and a lot of lows. I feel I did waste some of my time and I did make a lot of mistakes, but there's a lot of special memories in that day, especially that time I spent with Hirone. It was pretty cool just experiencing something new that you always heard about with a friend. I think it's pretty cool, and that's kind of just true for life. I think spending time with other people and sharing memories is honestly one of the most. Will always usually enhance most experiences in life. Okay, so today's lesson. I think I got one actually. Send your friend the address of the location, not the name of it. It's going to clear up a lot of confusion. Thanks for stopping by, Mons. Don't get lost out there. Mata ne.